Deaf little girl signed, "Thank you" to the waitress. The CEO behind her asked, "Where did you learn that?" The soft chime above the door rang as Nathan Grayson stepped into Rose and Laurel, a quiet, elegant restaurant tucked between the bustling offices of Midtown. He held the door open just long enough for his daughter to step in behind him. 6-year-old Lily Grayson, dressed in a pale pink dress, her hair pinned neatly with a small bow. In her arms was a slightly worn stuffed bear with one ear flopped over, a quiet comfort she clung to without fail. Nathan gently placed a hand on Lily's back as the hostess guided them to a table near the windows. The lighting was soft, casting a golden hue over the dark wood interiors. The hum of conversation buzzed gently, muffled by velvet drapes and the soft clinking of cutlery. As they settled in, Nathan unfolded a leather-bound notebook and began jotting down notes. His assistant would arrive soon for a brief working dinner, but for now, he was content to multitask, his right hand scribbling words, his left gently tapping a rhythmic pattern against the table. A silent comfort for Lily. She sat opposite him, legs swinging slightly under the seat. Her big, observant eyes scanned the room. Her gaze stopped at a nearby table where an elderly man sat alone. And beside him, a young woman was adjusting the napkin on his lap with careful hands. Claire Everhart moved with quiet precision. Her platinum blonde hair was pinned low at the nape of her neck, and she wore the deep green uniform of the restaurant staff with a kind of effortless neatness. She smiled at the man, nodded politely, and lifted her hands to sign something, just a simple phrase. The old man chuckled, signed back clumsily, and she patted his shoulder gently before turning to check on the tea. Lily watched her, wide-eyed. Nathan followed his daughter's line of sight, then glanced back down to his notes. But the girl wasn't watching aimlessly, she was focused. As Claire passed their table on her way to the kitchen, Lily suddenly lifted her hands and signed 2 words. "Thank you." Claire paused. She looked down, surprise flickering across her face. Then her expression softened into a warm, sincere smile. She leaned forward just slightly and signed back, "You're welcome." Nathan blinked. He set his pen down, tore a page from his notebook, and wrote quickly, "Where did you learn that?" He slid the note across the table. Lily looked at the words, then at her father. She reached for the pen, but did not write. Instead, she turned, lifted her small hand, and pointed at Claire. Claire, now back at the old man's table, was gently lifting the teacup from its saucer. The steam curled upward into the dim light above, catching the golden glow of the overhead chandelier. Her face was peaceful, focused, unaware of the small miracle she had just caused. Lily turned back to Nathan and smiled. A bright, proud grin that made something inside him quietly shatter and reassemble. He looked at his daughter for a long moment. Then his gaze returned to Claire, who was now wiping down the table with a soft cloth, her movements unhurried and precise. The world seemed quieter for a second, as if time had slipped into a slow-motion reel. Nathan leaned back in his chair, the note still resting between them. He had spent years trying to reach Lily, trying to help her express herself beyond gestures and tears. Therapists, specialists, programs, none had yielded what had just happened in a passing moment between a child and a stranger. No, not a stranger. Not anymore. His chest tightened, not from worry this time, but from something else, something gentler, something that felt like hope. He looked at Lily again. She was humming softly to herself. Or maybe not humming, maybe just mouthing the motion. Her bear sat tucked into her lap, but her hand moved slowly in the air, tracing out the sign again. "Thank you." And Nathan, still holding the note, whispered under his breath, though Lily could not hear it, "Thank you, whoever you are." The next morning, the bell above the entrance to Rose and Laurel gave its familiar chime as Nathan Grayson stepped inside once more, this time not for business, but for something he couldn't quite name. Lily walked beside him, holding his hand, her little pink dress fluttering slightly with each step. The restaurant was quieter than it had been the night before. Morning sunlight streamed through the tall windows, casting a warm glow over the tables. Claire Everhart was wiping down a table near the back, her platinum blonde hair pulled into the same soft low bun, her uniform crisp and neat. She moved with a quiet rhythm, unhurried but purposeful. Lily spotted her instantly. The little girl stopped, her grip tightening slightly around her stuffed bear. Then, slowly, she raised one hand and signed, "Hi." Claire turned. She blinked once, surprised, and then a soft smile spread across her face. She stepped forward, crouched down so her eyes met Lily's, and signed back, "Hi." From the pocket of her apron, she pulled out a small laminated card with colorful symbols and hand shapes. She handed it to Lily with a small note scribbled across the top. "Want to learn more?" Lily looked up at her father, then back at Claire. She nodded. Her little fingers moved, hesitantly but clearly. "Thank you." Nathan stood nearby, watching the exchange in silence. There was a warmth in his chest that surprised him, a quiet kind of awe. When Lily wandered over to a booth by the window with a coloring book, Nathan made his way to the front counter where Claire had resumed her work. She looked up, polite but clearly unsure of what to expect. "Thank you," Nathan said quietly, "for what you did. I never expected Lily to sign a full word. Not like that. Not to a stranger." Claire's expression softened. She brushed a strand of hair back behind her ear. "I only met her once," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "At a park. She looked lost. I thought she might be looking for her mom. I just wanted her not to be scared." Nathan's face shifted. His jaw tightened. His shoulders stilled. His voice, when it came, was rough. "She doesn't have a mom. She only has me." Claire's smile faded. Her eyes widened just slightly with realization, and her tone instantly changed. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I didn't mean to assume. I didn't know. I shouldn't have said." "It's okay," Nathan interrupted, gentler this time. He exhaled slowly. "You weren't wrong for thinking that. She does look for someone, all the time, even if she doesn't know who. I can't replace what she lost, no matter how hard I try." He leaned against the counter, folding his arms loosely. "Elise, my wife, she died in a car accident when Lily was just past 2. A shard of glass pierced Lily's ear. She's been deaf ever since. Too young for early intervention. Too small to understand the silence." Claire said nothing for a while. She didn't fill the space with platitudes. She simply stood still, eyes locked with his, listening the way few people ever did. Then she spoke, quietly. "My mother lost her voice after a stroke," she said. "She could hear everything, but couldn't form a single word. I was 12 when I learned to sign, not because someone told me to, but because no one else would." Nathan looked at her, something unreadable in his gaze. "So, you know what it's like," he murmured, "to need to say something and have no one really wait long enough to understand." Claire nodded slowly. "And to be afraid," she added, "that maybe no one ever will." Silence stretched between them, but it was no longer empty. Across the room, Lily sat with the sign card spread across her lap, slowly mimicking one hand shape at a time. Her brow furrowed in concentration. Her bear sat beside her, watching too. Nathan followed his daughter's movements, then turned back to Claire. "If you're willing," he began, his voice steady now, "I'd like to ask you for help, not in a formal way, just teach her, however you can, no pressure. Just enough to help her feel like she's not so alone in the world." Claire smiled, genuine, kind. "I'll do my best, for her, and for a father who's doing more than most would ever try." When Nathan and Lily left an hour later, Claire stayed behind, wiping down their table with quiet hands. Then she noticed something under the glass sugar jar. A piece of paper. A child's drawing. 3 figures, hand in hand. One tall man with dark hair, one little girl in a pink dress, and a woman with yellow hair drawn in a soft looped bun. Claire held it in her hand for a long moment, smiling softly. A beginning, drawn in crayon. Claire began meeting Lily a few times a week, usually at the little park near the corner or the tiny pastry shop just down from Rose and Laurel. The meetings were short, sweet, and completely unstructured. But they became something Lily looked forward to with an almost radiant anticipation. Nathan always came along. He never interfered, though. Instead, he sat a little ways off, usually with his laptop open, pretending to work. But every few minutes, his eyes would drift from spreadsheets and presentations to his daughter's tiny hands and the blonde woman gently guiding them. Over time, Lily blossomed. There was no other word for it. She began smiling more, laughing freely, and even reaching for Claire's hand when they greeted each other. She picked up signs faster than Nathan expected. Dad, eat, good, pretty, safe. Each sign was like a key unlocking a new piece of the world for her. Claire never used textbooks. She never brought flashcards or lesson plans. Instead, she taught through play, using toys, small drawings, funny expressions, and a kind of quiet warmth that seemed to envelop every moment she shared with Lily. It wasn't just instruction. It was connection. One gray afternoon, light rain misted the edges of the park. The benches were damp, but the wooden gazebo at the center remained dry. Claire brought Lily there and pulled a small portable speaker from her bag. A soft, familiar melody drifted through the air. You are my sunshine. Claire looked at Lily and slowly began to sign the lyrics, one motion at a time. Lily tried to mimic her, stumbling over a few shapes, then giggling at her own mistakes. Nathan, curious, approached without a word and sat beside them. Claire met his eyes, surprised but not unwelcome. She reached out gently and guided his hand into the same motions. Word by word, sign by sign, all three of them moved together. Claire's hands flowed like music. Lily's followed, childlike but determined. Nathan's were a little stiff, a little unsure, but his voice, low and soft, began to sing along as Lily signed. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. When they reached the word sunshine, Nathan paused. His hands trembled, his breath caught. Then slowly, he formed the sign again, carefully, reverently. His eyes glistened. Claire watched without a word. In that moment, it wasn't about language anymore. It was love, pure and unguarded, spoken in silence. A few days later, Claire noticed something curious. Lily always brought the same pink backpack, and tucked inside was a tiny pink doll, worn, slightly frayed, but clearly cherished. Lily never played with it. She only held it close. One afternoon, while Lily was coloring with sidewalk chalk, Claire gently asked, "Is she your favorite?" Lily paused, then nodded. She set the chalk down, unzipped the bag, and pulled the doll into her lap. Then, slowly, she signed a sequence. Mom, hurt, car, boom. Claire froze. The signs weren't from any formal system. They were raw, intuitive, Lily's own invention to express something too deep, too painful to say aloud. She had taken fragments of a memory, of a trauma, and shaped them into a language only she knew. Claire knelt beside her. She didn't ask for more. She didn't press. She just signed back, soft and steady. Thank you for showing me. That night, Claire went home and pulled out a small notebook. On the first page, she wrote the signs Lily had used and what they meant. Each one had its own note, a context, a drawing. She began compiling Lily's language into a handmade dictionary, a record of a little girl who had never stopped trying to speak. The next day, she handed Nathan the notebook. It's not professional, she said with a small smile, but it's hers. Nathan held it like something fragile and sacred. He flipped through a few pages, then looked up. She made this? She lived this, Claire replied. And for the first time, Nathan truly saw it. What Claire was giving Lily wasn't just language. It was belonging, a way to be heard, a way to heal. Nathan invited Claire over to the house for the first time. It was a small celebration. Lily had just completed her first signing test, a video where she signed an entire children's song start to finish without help. Nathan had recorded it, proud beyond words. Claire arrived in the early evening, a small gift in hand. Lily came running to the door, wearing a soft pink dress with a satin bow tied at the back. Claire's eyes lit up. "Pink suits you," she said with a playful wink. Lily beamed. The house was modern but warm, with soft lighting and gentle wooden tones. Claire looked around and paused at the walls, covered in Lily's crayon drawings. One after another, 3 figures, always holding hands. A blonde woman, a little girl in a pink dress, and a man with brown hair. It was as if Lily had imagined this before it ever became real. Later, while playing hide and seek, Lily crawled under her bed and accidentally pushed out a small tin box. It made a soft clinking sound as it slid across the wooden floor. Claire gently picked it up. "What's this?" she asked softly. Lily hesitated, then slowly nodded and sat beside her. With careful fingers, she opened the lid. Inside were a few precious things: a faded photograph of a smiling young woman, a delicate bracelet with tiny pearls, and a handkerchief with the letter E embroidered in the corner. Nathan appeared in the doorway, still, his voice low. "I haven't opened that box in 4 years." Claire closed the lid carefully. Her fingers rested on it, gentle but firm. She needs this, to know she wasn't forgotten, that she's still carrying her mother's love every day. That night, after Lily had fallen asleep, her nightlight casting a soft pink glow from the hallway, Claire and Nathan sat on the couch. The rain outside tapped steadily on the windows. Claire turned to him. "Has anyone ever helped you through all of it?" Nathan didn't answer right away. He stared ahead, his voice low when it came. "I never let anyone get close enough to see how much it hurt." Claire looked at him for a long moment. Then, gently, "Maybe it's time someone knocked," instead of trying to force the door open. Nathan met her eyes. He didn't turn away this time. Silence stretched between them, not awkward, but full. Something unspoken was beginning to take shape. Thunder rolled distantly. When Claire stepped outside to leave, her car wouldn't start. Nathan offered the guest room without hesitation. That night, in the soft hum of a quiet house, they sat in the living room. No music, no TV, just 2 people talking about childhood dreams, loss, the weight of raising a child alone, and the strange ways grief makes us smaller until someone sees us again. In the morning, Claire woke to find a pair of soft slippers sitting just outside the guest room door. They were plush, a gentle beige color with tiny pink details, and her name, Claire, stitched inside in neat, careful thread. She stood there holding them for a long moment, eyes welling. When she walked down to the kitchen, she didn't speak. Instead, she signed, "Thank you for seeing me." Nathan smiled and signed back. The lessons began to take on a rhythm of their own. At first, it was just Claire and Lily, sitting on a bench at the park or a corner table at the bakery near Rose and Laurel. But gradually, the lines between student and teacher blurred. The language they were building wasn't just with signs, it was in glances, laughter, and shared silence. Nathan started joining them more often, not intrusively, but as a quiet presence. He would sit nearby with his laptop open, half pretending to work, while his eyes followed every gesture exchanged between Claire and Lily. Sometimes, he would smile without realizing. Other times, he'd simply pause, like trying to memorize every second. Lily flourished. Her signs became clearer, her confidence stronger. Words like dad, eat, good, pretty, and safe became part of her world. Each sign she learned was like another brick laid down to build a bridge between herself and the world around her. And Claire, she didn't teach by textbook. She turned leaves into symbols, used pastries as metaphors, and wove stories through movement. Signing with her wasn't instruction, it was connection. Language, in her hands, became something alive. One late afternoon, the rain came in slow drizzles. They found shelter under a wooden canopy in the park. Claire began teaching Lily the sign, a language version of "You are my sunshine." Lily tried, giggling every time she messed up. The joy on her face was uncontainable. Nathan moved closer, crouching beside them. "Mind if I join?" he asked. Claire looked at him, then smiled. "Only if you're ready to sing with your hands." He laughed, nervous but willing. So she taught him too, slowly, patiently, one word at a time. "You," she signed, "are my sunshine." Nathan's hands trembled slightly with each sign, but he didn't stop. He turned to Lily, who was following along, mouthing the words. And then, in a soft, husky voice, Nathan sang aloud as Lily signed beside him. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Claire signed the last line with them. It was the first time all three moved as one. Nathan's voice cracked at the word sunshine. His hands dropped for a moment, and he blinked quickly, trying to clear his eyes. Claire didn't say anything. She just placed her hand gently over his. Later that week, Claire noticed something unusual. Lily carried a small pink doll in her backpack everywhere, but she never played with it. She just held it tightly, like a secret. One afternoon, Claire gently asked about it. Lily hesitated. Then, slowly, she signed, "Mom." Claire's heart clenched. Lily continued, signing again, this time more fragmented. "Hurt, car, boom." Claire nodded, her eyes soft. Lily had never been told the full story, yet somehow she remembered. Through sights, sounds, and fears too large, and for words, she had crafted her own vocabulary, her own way to make sense of it all. That night, Claire opened her journal and began sketching every unique sign Lily had ever shown her, her personalized language of memory. The signs no dictionary would ever include. She titled the journal Lily's Signs. And then came the day that would test everything. They were at a shopping mall, buying art supplies for Lily's next big project. Nathan had stepped away briefly to take a call. Claire and Lily were browsing paints when the fire alarm suddenly blared, shrill, sharp, lights flashing red across the walls. The moment the sound hit, Lily froze. Her face drained of color, her fingers clutched Claire's coat. Then, without warning, she collapsed to the floor, her breath hitching. Claire dropped down beside her, heart pounding, but hands steady. She didn't speak. She signed, slowly, calmly. "Safe. You are safe. Daddy is here. I'm here." The noise seemed to fade, even if it didn't stop. Lily's shoulders relaxed just enough. Her hands reached for Claire's. Then Nathan arrived, racing through the crowd, frantic. He dropped to his knees and wrapped both Claire and Lily in his arms, holding them as if the world might still collapse around them. When Claire looked up, there were tears in her eyes. And something else. Understanding. Later that night, in the quiet of her apartment, Claire stitched something by hand. A pink headband with Lily's initial L on one side and a tiny embroidered hand sign on the other. She gave it to Lily the next morning. Lily hugged it to her chest, then signed, "Wear this. When I forget, I'm strong." Claire didn't answer aloud. She didn't need to. She simply held Lily's hand and signed back, "Always." The email came in the middle of Nathan's morning review. Subject, urgent board notice. The content was short but heavy. A major shareholder had proposed an emergency meeting to vote on a leadership transition. The reason? Nathan Grayson, once praised for his visionary drive, was now deemed distracted, emotionally compromised, and prioritizing personal causes over shareholder interests. The underlying message was clear. His work with the Foundation for Hearing-Impaired Children, the flexible healthcare programs he had championed, these were seen as weaknesses. His position as CEO was on the line, and with it, the funding for every child like Lily. That night, he made a decision. He messaged Claire, "Thank you for everything. I owe you more than I can ever repay, but it's time I focus on what only I can fix. I hope you understand." There was no explanation beyond that. No details. Just a closed door where there had once been warmth. Claire read the message in silence, fingers trembling. She didn't reply. She had seen this before. The moment people got scared, they chose to run. But Nathan's silence hurt differently. It wasn't rejection. It was retreat. Still, it hurt. Lily noticed. In the days that followed, she became quieter. The sparkle in her eyes dimmed. Her drawings, once filled with 3 smiling faces, now showed only 2. One big, one small. No yellow hair, no Claire. Nathan tried to smile, to fill the gaps, but every time Lily asked with her hands, "Where Claire?" he looked away. Then came the call. He was in the middle of a tense boardroom meeting, numbers flashing across screens, voices debating over projections. His phone buzzed, a teacher's voice, shaky, urgent. Lily fell. She hit her head. "There's a lot of blood. She's panicking, we can't calm her down. She's signing something. We don't understand." Nathan was already moving before the call ended. At the hospital, he burst through the emergency doors. Nurses tried to stop him, but he kept going until he found her, his little girl, curled on a gurney, hands flailing in the air, desperately forming signs. She was trying to say a name, again and again. Claire. Claire arrived moments later, breathless, hair disheveled, eyes wild with worry. As soon as Lily saw her, she reached out, hands finally steady. Only then did she let the nurse touch her. Nathan stood in the doorway, soaked from rain, mud on his shoes, hands shaking. Claire looked up at him. Her voice was soft. "Are you okay?" Not a word of blame, no accusation, just concern. Nathan's throat tightened. Later, as Lily slept with a bandage over her temple, Nathan and Claire sat in the hallway outside the room. He spoke first. "I thought I could protect her by pushing you away. I thought, maybe if I focused, fought back, she'd be safer. I was wrong." Claire didn't respond right away. She folded her hands, then looked at him, clear, steady. "You don't owe me an apology, Nathan." Her voice broke just a little. "Just don't let her call for someone else when the person she needs most is already hers." Nathan lowered his head, his voice no louder than a whisper. "She needs both of us. I know that now." Claire reached out, not to take his hand, but to press his palm gently, then show her she's not alone. Claire folded the letter slowly, smoothing its edges before tucking it gently into the front cover of a small notebook. Her handwriting, neat but quiet, stretched across the page. "I don't love Lily because she needs me. I love her because she gave me a reason to start listening again." The notebook beneath the letter was full of ink and quiet wonder, drawings, signs, symbols. Every page documented a piece of Lily's world, the signs she had created on her own, the way she expressed pain, joy, fear. It was a language born not from textbooks, but from heartbeats. She left the package at Nathan's doorstep with no name, no expectation, only hope. A week later, cameras flashed as reporters gathered for what was supposed to be another standard press event for Grayson Medical Technologies. But Nathan stood at the podium without a teleprompter, without a chart, without numbers. He took a breath, looked down at his hands, then began. "There are some things data cannot measure, some stories no graph can tell." The room stilled. He went on, not as a CEO, but as a father. He told them about Lily, her silence, her strength, and the girl in the pink dress who had once signed, "Thank you," at a dinner table. He spoke of Claire, the woman who had taught his daughter to speak without sound, and taught him to hear what really mattered. Then, he unveiled Silent Bridge, a revolutionary educational platform designed not just to teach sign language, but to humanize it. Combining AI with emotional recognition, it translated not just words, but intention. It was built to make connection possible for every child like Lily. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Claire, sitting quietly in the back row, eyes wide, hands clenched in her lap, watched Nathan lift his hand at the end of the presentation. He didn't wave. He signed, "You taught us to listen." And he looked straight at her. That night, Claire returned home under a sky full of soft stars. Her apartment was quiet, familiar, until she saw the box at her door. She crouched down slowly, hands trembling just slightly. Inside was a wooden frame, handcrafted, smooth to the touch. Within it was a piece of pale fabric, embroidered by tiny hands. The image showed 3 figures, a girl in a pink dress, a man in a suit, and a woman with blonde hair, all signing the same word: home. Beneath it, a small handwritten card rested. If you still want to walk in, the door has always been open. Nathan. Claire pressed the card to her chest, tears falling silently. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she had to be the one knocking. Maybe this time, she was already home. The late autumn air curled gently through the park, brushing gold and rust across the fading trees. Under one of them, on the same worn bench near the path, Nathan sat with Lily nestled beside him, their heads bent over a picture book. Lily pointed at each image, occasionally pausing to sign a word. Nathan responded with patient hands, sometimes smiling, sometimes fumbling, and letting Lily correct him. She giggled softly. He always messed up. Giraffe. The crunch of light footsteps on the path made them both look up. Claire. She didn't say anything, just walked over and sat beside Lily, her scarf fluttering slightly in the breeze. The same gentle bun in her platinum hair, the same calm in her eyes. Lily reached out and held her hand. None of them spoke, but 3 smiles said everything. Claire reached into her bag and pulled out a small cloth bundle. She unfolded it and held it up. A handkerchief, soft white, with delicate embroidery and pastel thread. 3 hand signs, U, S, and a clasp, looped together in a gentle chain. She placed it in Lily's hands. Lily stared at it, then at Claire, then turned to her dad, then back again. She slowly signed, "This means family, right?" Claire nodded, then signed back, deliberately, "The one we choose, every day." Nathan watched them both, something unreadable moving in his eyes. He reached into the inside pocket of his coat and pulled out a small velvet box. He didn't open it right away, just turned it slowly in his palm. Then he looked at Claire, lifted his hands, and signed, "Marry us?" No speeches, no grand declarations, just 3 words, spoken with fingers that had learned to say what lips couldn't. Claire's eyes welled up instantly. But she didn't cry. She smiled, wide and trembling, then raised her hands in return. "I already did." 1 year later, Rose and Laurel still sat on the corner of 5th and Alder, its ivy-covered windows and soft jazz echoing in the evenings like always. But inside, things were warmer. At the familiar table by the window, 3 chairs were filled. Lily, now 7, darted between tables, politely showing curious customers how to sign, "Thank you." Her pink headband bounced with every step, her laughter ringing like chimes. Claire stood behind the counter, clipboard in hand, directing the staff. Her name was now on the manager's plaque by the entrance. Nathan, seated at their favorite table, lifted his coffee cup in a quiet toast as Claire passed. She shook her head at him, amused, and he winked. On the wall above them, framed and hung with care, was a piece of fabric. 3 small figures, hand-stitched, all signing the word, home. Beneath it, in delicate lettering, the stitched message read, "Where words fail, love signs." If this story touched your heart, even just a little, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that hype button to support soul-stirring stories. We believe that sometimes the most powerful connections are made not through words, but through kindness, presence, and love that listens. Thank you for watching, and remember, every sign of love counts.